F1 Manager 24 grid changes every race, round number 16 for the finale, the 2024 Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, the final race of this first season of grid changes every race. These are the drivers: Carlos Sainz at Williams, George Russell at Haas, Max Verstappen at Aston Martin, Lando Norris at Sauber, Oscar Piastri at Mercedes, Lewis Hamilton at Alpine, Daniel Ricciardo at Red Bull, Esteban Ocon at Red Bull, Fernando Alonso at Ferrari, Pierre Gasly at Alpine, Valtteri Bottas at RB, Charles Leclerc at Williams, Alexander Albon at Haas, Sergio Perez at Sauber, Yuki Tsunoda at McLaren, Kevin Magnussen at RB, Lance Stroll at Aston Martin, Nico Hulkenberg at Ferrari, Logan Sargent at McLaren, and Zhou Guanyu at Mercedes. Those are the drivers for this final race of the season, and this is how the championship looks going into this final race. Sainz leads the championship by 10 points to George Russell. Technically, Verstappen and Norris, both on 108 points, they are also mathematically in the fight for the championship. It's going to be difficult for them too with the cars they're driving. Verstappen's technically in the best car, but good enough to, overhaul 22, 23 points to beat Sainz. I don't know about that. So it's mainly a race here between Sainz and Russell. And yes, we get straight into it. No real things to do with the car because it is right at the end of the season. We're going to do our race targets there and get straight into this race weekend. So qualifying, first of all, Q1. Both drivers currently in that top 15 zone. Leclerc in P11, Sainz is in P15. He's right on the cusp, which is a little bit scary for him, being the defending champion and everything. I mean, I will say Russell needs to outscore Sainz by technically 11 points to beat him. So it's going to be difficult, but he needs everything he can get. Thankfully, Sainz does manage to get through into Q2. However, he does have a grid penalty for some reason. I don't know how the grid penalties work in this game. They just kind of seem to happen randomly. So he will be starting further down the order, but that means he just has to try and get as far up as he can in Q2. Unfortunately, both drivers will get knocked out here in Q2, but we are watching Sainz right now for his flying lap here in Q2. Now, I will say that there was a bit of an issue with my game. My game crashed midway through this qualifying session, or towards the end of this qualifying session, and I had to redo it. Ultimately, it didn't really change the positions at all, but I believe this is the original version. Oh no, I didn't redo it. I finished it off, but then I think my recorder, something happened and I didn't get the recording for whatever reason. So you're going to see the recording here of these flying laps in Q2. But then after that, I don't have the actual grid to show you for the end of Q2 and for Q3 because of that issue. But yeah, thankfully we still have this footage here. But Sainz currently doing pretty well. Purple through the middle sector. This is the first flying lap for him here. But he's doing all right at the moment. That middle sector has just been taken away from him, but you expect that with the faster cars around. Just getting both cars into Q2 I thought was a pretty good feat here for both drivers. I mean, Sainz and Leclerc, obviously the two, well, in 2024, the two Ferrari driver teammates, but Sainz goes quickest there, but in the end, Sainz will end up starting 18th after his grid penalty, and Leclerc will start 13th. So we'll see how that affects things. Sainz way out of the points here. Will that change things for the championship? We'll have to wait and see, but that is how the grid, well, that is how these two drivers are going to line up. We will see the rest of the grid in a moment, but it's time for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix.
The anticipation is really building here. The fans in attendance are absolutely buzzing with excitement. This race should be a good chance to see what Valtteri Bottas can manage.
Ninth is a fairly good grid position. If they make the right calls, they could well score some points.
Right, let's get to it then. Anything could happen. It's the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. And it's lights out, and away we go.
Here we go in Abu Dhabi. Ocon on pole position, but Alonso in the Ferrari has already got past him into turn one. Great start from Fernando Alonso. Verstappen's up to P3 as well. That is a good position for him in the Aston Martin. I mean, he needs to go on, he needs to win this race and have Sainz and Russell not score any points really to have a chance at the championship, but he's in 3rd place already. That is a very good start for Max Verstappen. The 2 leaders though are still fighting it out. Alonso ahead of Ocon. Of course, these 2 former teammates at Alpine, they had some tense moments there. Well, they're about to have some tense moments at the front of the grid here as Ocon trying to get in the slipstream and dive down the inside off this straight into the chicane. There he goes over the curb. He's gonna go for the move there, and as they go side by side out of the corner, Ocon gets ahead, but now I believe Alonso's gonna have the slipstream. No DRS yet, of course, on lap number 1, but the slipstream's gonna be enough to get him alongside. Once again, dives down the inside, round the next long left-hander, and gets back up into the lead. Great little scrap between the 2 leaders at the start of this Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, that is for sure, and Verstappen is right there with them in the Aston Martin. Next lap around, DRS now available. That means that Ocon can quite easily get past Alonso there down the straight. It will mean he's susceptible though to Alonso down the next straight, but he can't do anything at the moment. Carlos Sainz diving up the inside of 2 cars, an Alpine and a Haas, cuts way over the curb there, but the game doesn't seem to really have an issue with that. Still side by side with the Alpine, but manages to get past. Good position made up there for Carlos Sainz. Lewis Hamilton now going for a move. I don't know if this might be Sainz again actually getting back past him perhaps, but just an easy overtake down the straight there. Nothing our driver could do. Hamilton up a position. The other Williams just ahead of him, so yeah, that would have been Sainz, but that just shows Sainz has already caught pretty close up to the back of Leclerc, who now also gets overtaken by Lewis Hamilton, who is flying in that Alpine. He's on medium tyres and our drivers are on softs, but he's flying. He's going so quick in that Alpine. I don't know what he had in his cereal this morning. Verstappen unfortunately falling down the order a little bit now, down to P5 now behind Tsunoda, as the battle at the front still continues between Alonso and Ocon. These guys just kind of trading positions quite a lot here, almost every single lap. They're swapping around. Once again, Ocon the better run and the DRS out of the chicane, even though Alonso got past before the chicane. That allows him to get back up the inside once again and just fire his car through there. Alonso's going to fight it though. He's going to try and stick himself on the outside. Great racing between these two. This could be very scary. Alonso's still there on the inside. What a move from Fernando Alonso to regain the lead. Amazing racing between those two. Yeah, it could all turn out terribly going off past results, but at the moment, just some great racing between those two. Leclerc now caught back up to Hamilton again and is going to get back past down the main straight there, past Hamilton. Good move for him. And now actually both of our drivers are fighting each other. So Sainz caught right up to Leclerc now and has now got past Leclerc. I'm not telling them, to not fight each other at the moment, but this could get a little bit annoying because now they're really just fighting with each other. Leclerc gets back past Sainz once again. Could start getting a little bit frosty between these two. Logan Sargent now in the McLaren is not having a great time, running wide around one of the final few corners here, and that's going to demote him down a few positions and I believe put our two drivers ahead of him. Ricciardo now also trying to make some moves. He's trying to get up to the podium position that is currently held by Nico Hülkenberg. It is Ferraris and Red Bulls 1, 2, 3 and 4. Ricciardo making it a Red Bull 2, 3 at the moment, getting ahead of Nico Hülkenberg in that Ferrari. So it's a Red Bull and a Ferrari front two fighting. It's a Red Bull and a Ferrari third and fourth. Once again, Hülkenberg just going to come back quite easily off that chicane down the next DRS zone and get back ahead. So still a bit more frustration there to deal with for Daniel Ricciardo. Sainz is going to be our first driver into the pits on lap 16. Into the pits for a set of hard compound tyres. That is going to be his middle stint. Then onto the mediums at the end, I believe. I've got both drivers doing that same strategy, but just at slightly different times. Next lap around, Leclerc will come in for also a set of hards. Good pit stop, 2.4 seconds. Very nice work from the pit crew there. And Leclerc will head into the tunnel and back out onto the track. Now we have Alexander Albon, who's going for a move on one of our drivers. I believe that is Leclerc in the number 2 car. Albon just flying down the main straight with DRS. Easy move for him in the Haas. Thankfully, though, I mean, Haas are way ahead of us in the championship anyway. We're not really in a fight with them anymore, but at the moment, neither us or Haas are scoring any points. Leclerc, though, trying to still get back past Albon again, and it's another lovely dive up the inside into that long left-hand corner. You know, new corner, well, new since like 2022, I believe, maybe 2023. I'm not 100% sure, but yep, makes that move stick. At the front, well, at top 3 and 4 again, Hulkenberg and Ricciardo still just absolutely fighting it out here. They're a good 3.5 seconds behind the leaders, but a little bit ahead of Yuki Tsunoda. Leclerc now also going to try and get past Alexander Albon, who seems to be struggling a little bit at this point in the race. He's also on the hard compound tyres, but is struggling a little bit. His teammate George Russell a fair way up the road, but crucially not in the top 10. So that is big for the championship. Russell's not in the top 10. Verstappen also currently in P7. So it's looking pretty good for Carlos Sainz at the moment. Speaking of Carlos Sainz, he's now getting overtaken once again by Leclerc, his teammate here at Williams. Leclerc back ahead, but Sainz fighting this one a little bit. These guys getting a bit frosty here in the 2 Williams. Haven't had too much of my teammates fighting each other this season, but yeah, these guys really are fighting each other. Leclerc's trying to stick it round the outside to defend the position. Oh, great moves, but it is tense stuff, considering, you know, I'm the manager here, I'm the principal, team principal. It's great racing, but it's a little bit nerve-wracking, I'm not going to lie. Alonso still up the front, just trying to fend off Ocon at the moment. The gap's kind of ebbing and flowing here and there just because of different strategies. I believe these two are on different sets of tyres. Alonso on the softs, I believe Ocon is on medium compound tyres. Now, we have a bit of a incident here between Bottas and, I think, Lance Stroll. A little bit of contact between the two there. Doesn't look too bad, but as Bottas has a very big sideways moment trying to come back onto the track there. Don't know if there's any really bad damage there. The front wing looked okay, but definitely didn't help out Valtteri Bottas. Albon now coming back at our Williams cars once again down the inside as we come onto the straight. Pretty easy move for Albon, and I believe he may pick up the DRS. Yes, he does. He picks up the DRS as well. So he's going to fly off down the road. Both our drivers here now, as there's a time penalty for Verstappen. Okay, so it was Verstappen, not Stroll, who had that collision with Bottas. Not really sure why that was Verstappen's fault. Maybe he cut off Bottas a little bit. I don't really know. Leclerc now going for a move on Hamilton. It's really difficult to figure out who's where with all the pit stops and everything. We're kind of overtaking cars that we've already overtaken, and it's a bit confusing. I'm also not showing you every single overtake. There's a lot of back and forth of people just overtaking, then the next lap going back again, and just I'm not showing you every one of them, or else we would be here all day watching this. Sainz now has Albon behind him. And yeah, right on the verge of the top 10 here, actually. Russell's in P11, but he's 8 seconds, over 8 seconds behind P10. And it's kind of Haas, Williams at the moment as Albon gets back past Sainz once again. Logan Sargent still not going well for him. He's had a bad season, and in that Williams car, that McLaren car, he just drives into the wall. He locks up, stops the car, but then kind of keeps going and smacks into the wall. Don't know what's going on with Sargent. He's just not having a good time. You'll also see there on the left-hand side with the timing sheet that Norris is out in the Sauber. Just a mechanical failure. He retired into the pits. Sainz trying to get back past Albon again. There's a big cluster of cars here as Leclerc gets past as well. It's a double overtake. Well, it's both of our drivers overtaking the same driver. Great stuff from Sainz and Leclerc. That actually puts Sainz up into P10 briefly, but we're now going to come into the pits because we're a bit off with a strategy going on there. Onto a set of medium tyres. We're going to try and go hard on these medium tyres here because we should have a decent amount of life in them, especially for Leclerc at the end here coming in one lap later, that we should be able to push with both our drivers, but especially Leclerc to to really, you know, try and maximize as much as we can here. I don't think we're going to be getting into the points. It's too much of a gap, but it would be nice to at least finish ahead of the Hasses. That would be quite nice. As you can see though, 12 seconds behind Russell is Carlos Sainz, but as long as Russell doesn't score 10-11 points, which he's not looking very likely to do, Sainz has this championship sealed and delivered. Leclerc now trying to get past Perez, who is not having a great time. I don't even think he's pitted for his final time, and round the outside, easy as you like for Charles Leclerc. Perez in that Sauber, not enjoying life at the moment. At the front, with about 13 laps left to go, Ocon now leads the way, but it's going to be now Alonso coming for that P1 position down the back straight, up the inside, and taking the lead once again of this Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. It's been a race-long battle between these two. There hasn't really been anyone else in sight. Hulkenberg is 8.5 seconds behind these guys, so it's really been a two-horse battle between Alonso and Ocon. Leclerc has now caught up to the back of Albon and is going to try and get this move stuck. I can really just push with Leclerc. He's confident, he's quick. Down the inside of turn 1, not the place that you see a lot of moves happen, and just showing the confidence that Leclerc has in the car right now. Great move for him, and if we can just keep on going, eventually Sainz gets past as well. As we now go through a little bit here, just looking at Nico Hulkenberg, seeing what he can do. He's still trying to get past Daniel Ricciardo. This battle on the second to last lap of this race comes down to the wire. Hulkenberg gets back up into P3. Can he convert and get his, I believe, second, maybe even third podium of his career and of this season, of course, because he didn't have a podium before that. And here we have it, final lap. Ricciardo still trying to see if he can get back past Hulkenberg again. Doesn't manage it down the first bit of the straight there, but it could have been his move to try and go for it here, because you know, if you get past before the chicane, the other driver can just get straight back past here, but he doesn't have the speed, he doesn't have the ERS, I don't think, and Hulkenberg is going to hang on to P3, but it's going to be Fernando Alonso who will win this Abu Dhabi Grand Prix.
And it's Alonso edging out the other drivers to claim first place here today.
They can be really proud of what they've achieved today. A result like that doesn't just fall into your lap.
It's his second win of the season for Fernando Alonso. I believe both of them with Ferrari as well. His first one may have been McLaren actually, but he hasn't won with Red Bull, I'm pretty certain of that. And it is a Hulkenberg that will come home in P3 with Ocon, of course, P2, 18.9 seconds back in the end.
And the talented veteran rounds off another great drive, adding to his impressive F1 podium tally.
That sees them double their win tally for this season. They'll be delighted with that.
Hard to believe that's another one over. The season's ended, the party's just beginning, here in Abu Dhabi.
Great result to finish the season for Fernando Alonso, a win with Ferrari. Esteban Ocon, a pretty respectable P2, and Nico Hulkenberg back on the podium in P3. Also for Ferrari, a good day for Ferrari, that's for sure. Ricciardo couldn't quite manage to get on the podium. He finishes P4 with Yuki Tsunoda P5. Verstappen only P6, so he only picks up 8 points despite his other rivals not scoring any points. It's not going to be enough for him, with Piastri 7th, Bottas and Magnussen 8th and 9th for RB. Good result for them. And Zhou Guanyu picks up the final point in P10 at Mercedes. And what does this all mean for the Drivers' Championship? Well, it's pretty easy. Carlos Sainz wins the Drivers' Championship in 2024 with 130 points, 10 points clear of George Russell in second place. Verstappen ends up P3 with 116 points, with Norris in P4. Fernando Alonso climbs up to P5 right at the end there with 104 points. So it's a top 5 finish for Alonso. He'll be annoyed that he didn't win the championship, but P5, pretty good result for him. He's had a good season with 2 wins. Then comes Ocon, Piastri and Ricciardo further down. Red Bull pretty convincingly win the Constructors' Championship, 557 points. They are, what, 130 30 points ahead of Ferrari in second. Then comes McLaren, Mercedes, RB, Aston Martin, Haas, and Williams, with, I believe, Sauber, then Alpine at the back. In F2, Isaac Hadjar took the Formula 2 championship for Campos. Great result for him. And then Oliver Goethe won the Formula 3 championship. So great result from him as well. Just 2 points ahead of Dino Beganovic in second. They were both quite a way ahead of everybody else. And yeah, it is, of course, Carlos Sainz who wins the 2024 season here in Grid Changes every race. So anyway, thank you guys very much for watching. If you enjoyed, please go ahead, like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video.